Hello again and welcome back to Deutz Fahrm. We are busy ploughing it away here on field 18. Just got 16 to go after this. I've already done field 22 and that kind of sort of patch to the just right of field 2 as well, below field 23. So there's not much left for us to do now. You can see I've already brought the AgroStar over. It's kind of just sitting there waiting for us to do this field while we go off and start on the next one. That's when I'll get this one up and running. There is our field just through that little cutting just there. That's where we're going to be going next. And I've been thinking, I hadn't planned on upgrading our seeder quite so soon, but we've got quite a lot of planting to do, so I'm thinking we're going to go ahead and buy the Lemken seeder this time out. We should just about have enough money to do it. Just about. And we've got some silage bales left over from our last TMR batch as well, so I can always sell a couple of those to raise a few extra $1,000 if necessary. Plus I'm hoping that the trade-in of a brand new, unused 3-metre seeder will at least give us a good 5,000 to 7,000 as well, so maybe even a little bit more if we're lucky. There's just a little spot just there, I think, that I've missed. Yeah, there we go. I just think how long it's going to take us to do all of these fields with a 3-metre seeder. I think a 6-metre folding seeder would be a little bit better. It's still going to be a small one. It's not going to have a massive capacity. It's going to be a 500-litre tank. It's quite pricey as well. It's going to set us back around about 50 to 60,000 in that kind of price range. So definitely not the cheapest item. But I think with the money that we have left in our loan, plus the trade-in, we can just about get away with it and still have a little bit, I mean, and I do mean a little bit, of loan money left over at the end. So I'm ready to go ahead and do that. The fact that we've got an extra crop field as well for free out of that sort of patch below field 23 does give us extra incentive, because we can actually raise money a little bit quicker. Yeah, we've got an extra field that we didn't have to pay for. And there are other bits of land that we could possibly do that to as well. I mean, the field next to us there, it's a green pasture, as you can see, it's a grass pasture. It was mowed after episode 5, before episode 6. And then baled up. And I could turn that into a crop field if I wanted to, but I'm going to leave it as grass for now, because we don't have a huge number of grass paddocks. We've got kind of weird grass patches in places, but no really large paddocks, so that one's going to make, you know, quite a decent little area of grass for us to come and mow when we need a bit of extra grass for our animals. I do want to get sheep up and running on the farm. Want to get sheep up and running on the farm as soon as possible, as well. That's not going to happen until we've at least sold the vast majority of this next harvest that we're going to do, because we just don't have the money for sheep. They're so expensive. Even 5 sheep is going to set us back 20 grand plus delivery charge of another 2 grand on top of that as well. So yeah, a little expensive. In fact, no, it'd be more than that, I think. No, 2 grand sounds about right. So yeah, we just don't have a spare 22 grand, especially if we're going to be upgrading the seeder. We just aren't going to have that money up to hand. So let's get the AgroStar up and running while we plough this field here. I haven't really gone around any of the fields and extended them at all, apart from just doing a little bit of tweaking on that patch of land we had, as I said, below field 23. There were just a couple of patches where the sort of crop texture from the wheat harvest that was mixed in with the grass was still showing after being ploughed, so I just had to kind of extend the edges ever so slightly just to kind of trim that away. But apart from that, I haven't done any sort of resculpting of the fields at all. So everything's pretty much the same size as it was before. You know, we haven't gained any extra acreage or hectares. By extending the edges. There isn't really much room to do it. It's such a tightly packed map. Everything's so neatly spaced and compacted together that there isn't really much room to do that. I mean, there's a few potential places where you could combine certain fields together with strips of grassland, but I'm not sure if I want to go ahead and make some really weird shaped fields. I quite like, you know, the kind of field configuration that we have on this map as they currently are. I don't know if I want to start making some really odd shaped fields by turning some of those grass areas into, you know, working land. So I think we'll probably leave them as they are and just work with the actual fields as they are as well. There's very little we'll be doing, I think, in that respect, in terms of combining stuff or reshaping fields. We may occasionally just tidy an edge up a little bit if it's a little bit sort of ragged or, you know, a little inconsistent. We can maybe just smooth the line out a little bit. You know, if it's kind of cuts in and out in places, we can maybe just smooth that around, make it just a little bit neater. But that's probably about all we'll be doing, I think, when it comes to resculpting on this farm. There isn't really, as I say, much need for it. I mean, most of the fields are pretty decent sizes. I mean, this one's a good sized field. It's kind of hard to see with some of those trees in the way. But if we move the camera around a bit more, you can see this is a decent sized little field here. It's not, you know, a huge field, but it's a decent sized field, you know, considering the size of the map. I don't think there's really any need to make this any bigger, especially as we're working with small equipment. So I think, you know, this is kind of ideal, really, a field like this. It's not too small that it's going to be over and done with before you know it. It's not too big that it's going to take you an eternity to work, and it's a decent size shape and layout. It's easily enough accessible from a couple of different angles, and relatively AI friendly as well, given its shape. So I don't see any reason to mess with a field like this at all and potentially screw that up. Just see our aggro star there, just through the little cutting, through the clearing there, just bombing its way back down the field. That thing is so fast with that cultivator in comparison to our working speed here. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he's done with that field before we're complete on here. I think this is actually a slightly larger field as well than the one we've just done. I say, once I've finished ploughing this field here, I'll get the cultivator. It's not the cultivator, sorry, I'll get the seeder taken down to the store, traded in, and get the new Lemken seeder that I want to run on this particular farm. There's that little clearing as well, that little orchard. You can see that little building there with the trees. There's what, 4 trees I think in that clearing, maybe 5 in total that we need to get rid of. Once our crop is growing, we'll get a chainsaw, and we'll probably hire a log claw of some kind so that we can pick those up. And then we'll get those trees cut down, grind out the stumps, and as soon as we can afford it, we'll actually place in those apple trees to start generating some income. We'll probably have to place them like one at a time. I think they're about $5 each. So it's going to be a little while before we've got, you know, enough money to actually just drop in a nice orchard's worth in there. But if we can get 1 or 2 trees in there, then we can just add to them every now and again until we've got a nice sort of half a dozen or so in there. That'll give us a little bit of extra work that we can get on with here in terms of maintaining those with water and manure, and obviously a nice little bit of extra income as well. But it is such a picturesque map, this. I do really enjoy just driving around on this map. It's such a nice, quaint little village. And it's always nice to sort of drive into that thing there. You know, it's very picturesque with the stream that runs through the map. It's just a very pleasant place to be, I think. I do love this Altenstein map, I really do. So pleased that we have it on console. Let's see, are we going to see our aggro star? Oh, we've got a pillar in the way now, I can't see a thing. Not yet, no. Oh, we've drifted. Let's tidy that line up. I wonder if he's got stuck with traffic. No, he's coming up the hill, so we'll probably see him in the back window as we moved off too soon. There we go. Get lined up. Maybe the camera angle's just at the wrong height. Maybe it's an elevation issue. I know he's behind the trees, he's turning around. So we should see him in just a moment. No, I've got a window thing, and there he goes. Every time I try and get a view, some part of our tractor's, you know, makeup just gets in the way. Be it a window pillar, or a window clasp, or a wing mirror, just something. I'm really looking forward to getting our seeder up and running on this and getting a good harvest in. I think we could have some real fun on this map, I really do. And it's been a little while actually since I did any recording on this. Obviously I'm recording a few episodes back to back, so this is like the second episode of this session of episodes that I'm recording. I'm probably going to do one or two more before I call it a night. But it's been at least a week since I've been on this map. I've just been very busy with the Platinum Edition farm and with the Snowfall playlist for City Skylines as well, and getting a little bit of Mud Runner in my spare time as well. And just trying to, you know, organise stuff in my personal life as well. So yeah, very little time to actually just jump back onto this farm as well. I do need to at some point try and get some more episodes of American Midwest done as well. I'll probably get one of those recorded at some point over the weekend, try and get that up for Sunday. Although you'll probably have seen that episode, hopefully, by the time you see this one. So I'll see if I can get a couple of episodes of those done, so I've got one in reserve. I do want to try and at least keep that series running with one a week until I've moved and got a little bit more free time on my hands. And in the new year, our platinum farm will probably be coming to a close. I'm going to try and keep that running on a daily basis up until around Christmas time, and I think that will then kind of be a good point to end that farm. We'll have run it for every day for nearly 2 months by that point, or for a month and a half. So there should be around 40 to 50 episodes by that point, quite comfortably, maybe even more than that. Probably more than, well, definitely more than 40, maybe even more than 50 by that point. And I think that'll be a good kind of closure point on that particular series. And then in the new year, we'll have the West Coast. That's going to be a very time-consuming series to put together, trying to run 2 separate farms and playlists on the same farm at the same time. That's going to take quite a lot of work and quite a lot of effort. So just don't have time for that one right now, but I will try and get that started up in the brand new year. We have other maps on the way. I do know that Shu is working on another map at the moment. I think that might be coming to console. I know he's got 2 maps actually that he's working on. One's a logging map, and the other one I don't know anything about yet. And I'm hoping, and I'm assuming, that both of those will be console ready, because everything else he's done so far, apart from Rattlesnake, has been console ready. We had American Outback, Mustang Valley, Houdat Ranch, and Golden Days of Farming as well, all coming to console. So I see no reason why his next 2 maps won't do that as well. Especially since he is a console farmer himself, so it kind of makes sense for him to make his maps available, all of his maps available where possible on console. And had it not been for the format, or the map size issue, we would have had Rattlesnake as well. It's just there is that error that stops consoles from having anything larger than the standard size map. I don't know if that's ever going to get resolved. I mean, it's been a year now since the game came out, and we still haven't had anything larger than a 1x map. Albeit we've had some very clever use to maximise that 1x space. Most of the maps haven't been taking full advantage of a full 1 size space, so there's only a few that actually do use the full map size. Obviously this one's nowhere near using it. Look how small this is compared to the full map box. American Outback, I think, uses the full map. The West Coast definitely does. Cultborough doesn't. Thornton Farm, Sandy Bay, they don't. Nor does Chennington. I think Mustang Valley definitely does. And I think Houdat also uses the full map size. But Golden Days of Farming doesn't. Old Stream doesn't. So there are some that do, some that don't. Losberg didn't. But I'm trying to remember what it's called now. The Scottish map. The one that's set in Aberdeen. It's been so long, I can't remember what that map's called now. Apologies, because I really enjoyed it when it came out. That one does, I think, use the full size, because that's actually got some really big fields on it, and a lot of fields as well, so I'm pretty sure that one uses up the full map. But it's been kind of a mixed bag. Some maps, as I say, have done, some maps haven't. The small maps are very obvious that they don't, including Drummard. That one definitely doesn't use the full map size. But Black Sheep's new map, the Valley of the Old Farm, should use the full map size, because it is quite a big looking map. Right, how much of a gap did we leave at the bottom of the field? A little bit. Oh, we actually missed the whole streak as well. I expected it to do this because of the traffic on the road. It just doesn't like, AI doesn't like getting close to the edge of the road, so I expected this to not be cultivated. And I know that you don't need to cultivate. I know you can just seed on freshly ploughed ground, but I kind of don't like to do that unless it's a seeder that is specifically designed to work in those situations, like a no-till seeder, like the Vardestadt Rapid, for example. Unless the seeder is actually specifically designed to do that, I kind of prefer not to do that. I like to make sure that the ground is cultivated before I do my seeding. I don't like seeding onto just straight ploughed furrows with regular seeders. There we go. So let's get the AgroStar to work on here. While he's doing that, we are going to take a trip to the store and get ourselves a new Lemken seeder. That's our crop there of sugar beets. Just going to sit there until we're ready to harvest it, which will be a while. This tractor's absolutely filthy now. As it should be, really, considering how much work we've done on the ground. So I'm going to drop the plough. I was going to call it a cultivator then. Drop the plough just there. We'll come back, clean that off, and then put it away in a moment. But for now, we're going to go grab the... I think it's an Accord. This seeder here. I know it's from Kverneland. I think it's called the Accord. Let's see if it actually says. Yes, the Accord DL. We're going to take this to the store. We're going to trade this in. We're going to buy something from Lemken. Kind of keep the Lemken theme that we're using on this map going. Don't know why I'm looking at there. There's no traffic going to be on this part of the map. This is a dangerously blind corner if you come at this too fast. Pull out into traffic without realising. Alright, so let's see how much we're going to get for this. Hopefully a nice, generous amount. That's not too bad, 7 grand. That's kind of what I expected. Now, before I do sell this, I want to make sure I can definitely afford what we want. Otherwise, we're kind of up a creek without a paddle. So, the seeder that I want is this, the Azurit Hybrid. This is the one that has the optional fertilizer tank at the front. This is the no fertilizer version. So you can see the difference there. Fractionally smaller seed tank of 600 as opposed to 650 or 605, sorry, and no option to add fertilizer to it as well. I think do I want to go with a fertilizing unit? I mean, the prices are the same, but I will have to buy the tank that goes with it if I want to use the fertilizer version. Let's see, it's going to cost 55, 60, 60 and a half, and I'm going to want the fertilizer unit. And I'm going to want ridge markers as well, so it's going to cost me 67,700. how much money do I actually have left in my bank? 65. It's going to be close, but we can just afford it, so let's do it now before we run out of any more money. Let's sell that. Let's borrow the rest of our loan. There we go. So we're now fully maxed out. It's a little more than I was hoping, but we kind of need to do it. So there we go. We're going to buy that. And just want to double check whether or not I do actually need to buy the fertilizer tank as well. If we bought the fertilizer unit, in theory, that might be included in this. I just don't know. We may well have to come back. Do we have a fertilizer sell point? Yes, we do, just here. It's quite a heavy unit as well, this, really, so even though either of our two tractors can pull this, we'll probably use it on the Stara. Sorry, on the Stara, on the Sammy. So let's put 5 in. That just seems kind of pointless. So we are going to need to buy the optional tank. I had a feeling we probably did. So there we go. Oh, we have colour choices on this. And we have the proper Lemken blue. That's good. When this first came out, it had this optional tank. But the optional tank was the same design as it is now, which is obviously the fertilizer tank from the Amazona spray kit. But it was also in the Amazona colours of green and orange, so it did look very weird. It's definitely been repurposed a little bit. So you can see there, it's still got the Amazona branding on it, but it's now got some extra bits on there as well. And it's definitely got the Lemken colour scheme with the Lemken blue and the Lemken grey. That looks kind of cool. Quite like that. So there we go. There is our new seeder unit. This will hold 600 litres of seed and 1,005 litres of fertiliser. Not quite sure why the fertiliser requirements are so much bigger than the seed. Because the seed's going to run out faster. But it is what it is. Why would it fill up with seed? Oh, I'm on the front tank, not the seeder itself. Okay, there we go. So let's plant soybean. I always start with soybean. Close the cover. Get the beacons on. Oh, we're indicating. We're going to make our way up the hill first of all. Go deal with field 22. It's going to be the first one that we work on. And then once we've done that, we'll then kind of work our way back down the road, do field 18, then 16, then cross over the road back to the farm side. We'll work on field 2, 4, 8 and that field next to field 2 as well. So actually no, we may do it a little bit different. We may do 22 and then we'll start with 22, then we'll sweep down and we'll do that other piece of land that I worked on last time out that you didn't see. You'll actually probably see it in the distance on the other side of the road. There it is, you can see it now a lot clearer now that it's been ploughed and cultivated. Oh, I forgot to cultivate this. But this is a no-till seeder, I think. I'm pretty sure it is. So... no, it's not. So... yeah, we probably should. I don't know, it looks as though it's got cultivating markers on it. I don't know if this is a no-till seeder or not. Doesn't seem to suggest that it is in the description. Yeah, I think we should probably cultivate first, just to be on the safe side. So, let's move this out of the way. I think our worker has finished on field 16, so we'll bring him over. Oh no, he hasn't, not quite. He's still working away. In that case, we won't do this field. We'll start at the farm. So we'll cross over the river and we'll go work there first. And then we can bring the cultivator up and work on this one while we're seeding. Right, look how pretty this little road is here, just winding through the hills. Nice big change in elevation against the ground itself. And we're going to turn off just here. There we go. And now that that's been kind of cultivated, it does look very different. It was the same when I ploughed it. It looked very, very different. And you see those dark patches there as well. That's where the field has fertilizer on it. That's essentially, I think, where grass was that wasn't mowed. Or might be grass that... no, that's grass that was mowed, I think. And that has applied a stage of fertilizer to patches of this ground. That's why it's got that kind of weird, patchy look. Some of the field is fertilized, some of it isn't. Here we go, we have a stage 1 fertilization in some parts. I need to turn this thing on. Might help. There we go. Yes. I wasn't sure for a second whether we're actually applying fertilizer to the ground, but we are. You can just tell it is a little bit darker. And there we go, we have a 6 metre working width now, as opposed to 3. This will definitely help. Say, it's quite a lot of very large, a large number of fields for us to turn over, and having something a little bit larger like this will help us speed through that process a little bit quicker. It's actually quite a deceptively steep little hill, this. And it's a very fast little seeder as well. Having spent most of the last episode just driving around at 6 miles an hour, and then also the time in between there as well, it feels very weird to be whizzing up this hill at 12 miles an hour, twice the speed I was before. But you can see what I mean, it is a deceptively steep little hill. You can't really see it from some camera angles, but if you stand here and just take a look, look at that dip there. That's pretty steep little hill there. I spent all that money on ridge markers, and I'm probably going to spend quite a bit of the time eyeballing it like this. I think we'll use these on the fields that are a bit squarer. They'll be a bit easier to actually use. On fields that are a bit odd shaped like this, I'll just eyeball it with an external view. There we go, our worker has finished working on field 16, so we'll get him to go and cultivate field 22 for us in a moment. Just want to get this field done first. It is a really nice little seeder, this, but very expensive. That seems to be the biggest downside of this, is just how pricey it is. But it is a 6-metre seeder, but it's a 6-metre seeder with a very small grain tank. And if you're looking at a 6-metre seeder, I think a lot of people, just in terms of looking for convenience, will go with something that is, you know, able to cultivate at the same time and also has a larger tank. I mean, this one can fertilise, but as you saw, it's an expensive addition to the seeder, which is already expensive. You need to buy the tank at the front, and you need to spend an extra couple of thousand on the seeder itself as well, so it's like an extra 11,000, I think, if I remember rightly, to take it from a standard seeder to a fertilising seeder by buying the tank and adding the extra option on the seeder directly. Certainly not cheap, considering you're only getting 500 litres of seed. So things like the Vardestadt Rapid and the modded Cockerling Jockey are much more viable alternatives. You know, you're talking seed capacities of 2,000 to 3,000 litres each, and they are also no-till cultivators, no-till seeders as well, so they will cultivate your ground for you. So no need to clean a field off first, get rid of the stubble. Before you then go on and start work on the next field. This doesn't do that, so you have to cultivate between harvests. But it is very nice. Very lovely piece of kit. And I have wanted to use this on one of my farms for a while, so this is the perfect opportunity. Right. Let's just double check his work. Everything looks pretty good. No glaring issues. Yeah, that all looks pretty good. So let's take the AgroStar over to field 22 and get him cultivating on that while we start working on our next field. Again, very dirty. Look how much mud is showing on this tractor. It does make it difficult to see through the windscreen when you have these huge sort of dirt trails just dripping down from the cab. Let's go for the overtake. Oh no, this is our turn coming right up here. Let's just hold back a little bit. There we go. I do love the engine noise of this. Especially when you hear that kind of whining noise in the background as well. It's a very nice sounding tractor. Right. Cultivating is up and running. Time for us to unleash on this field as well. And again, we're going to do another soybean harvest on this field here. Ooh, a little bit of a frame drop there. See, the camera just got a little bit jerky. And again, I forgot to turn the thing on. Whoops. There we go. And let's use the ridge markers this time. Feels almost a little bit weird actually using ridge markers on a field that's so short. But we paid for them, we may as well use them. I can't lower the tank down either. That makes it a little bit harder to line up the ridge properly. Ridge is down. Seed is down. Off we go. Did we even make it to the edge of the field? I don't know if we did. Just about. It's quite tight with that tree line. I don't think we quite made it. This field's a little bit too short really to use our ridge marker, so I'm just going to stay external on this one. But we will use them on a slightly bigger field. Those fields 13 and 16 on the other side of the road, they should be a little bit more suitable, I think. Oops. Just missed a little bit just there. There we go. Make sure we have good coverage across the board. There's another bale there, look. I still haven't cleared away the other bale from last time. Unless that is the same bale that's been dragged across the field. It might be the same bale actually. I might have just moved it without paying any attention. Yeah, I must have done. It looks like our worker must have knocked it out here when he was cultivating. Just shoved it under the tree there, so I'll have to remember to grab that bale. I do like this cedar. It's got a great look to it, I think. Certainly very modern as well for a farm like this with some quite old-fashioned equipment. This is actually a very modern piece of gear. Right, which field do we do next? Well, we may as well carry on and go and do our two fields over by the cows. Get those out of the way and then cross back over the road to do those two fields, where we'll try and use the ridge markers. I don't think they will really have enough space on this side of the road. And again, we're going to have an issue with clearance, so I'm going to start in this corner here. So let's unfold. Lower and turn on this time. Actually remember to turn the thing on. Always helps. Make our way along the bottom of the field here. There we go. And now we'll do the same from the rock down. We drifted a little bit there. Let's just correct that. There we go. Now, hopefully that one headland will be enough space for us to actually finish this field off. I was hoping to get us a weeder as well. We still don't have a weeder, do we? Damn it, I forgot about that. I don't think we can actually fertilise our crops any further than this now. Oh no, we do have the fertiliser spreader, don't we? I could trade that in towards getting a weeder, but a weeder's going to set me back 34,000. Just don't have enough money left in my account. Well, I don't have any money left in my account. You're looking at the, the money I have left in my account, 1,300, that's it. Certainly don't have enough left to make up the difference I'm going to need for a weeder, so we'll have to rely on spreading fertiliser for at least the next couple of harvests. So we've got some extra cash, and then maybe we can switch to a weeder. I think a weeder on this farm would actually work really well. Save us the fertiliser costs, and it's also a good working with. You know, we get these fields, you know, weeded really quickly. And this seeder is definitely making light work of these fields. Probably be able to get all of them done in the next sort of 10-15 minutes. We don't have that much time left in the episode though, unfortunately. So I think what I'll do is I'll split this up. I'll finish this field off, and then in the next episode we'll finish off the other fields and then look at maybe starting to get a chainsaw. In fact, better, do I have a chainsaw? No, I haven't bought one yet. We better buy a chainsaw now while we have the chance. So, let's see. So we've got Stihl, which is, I think, a German company. Husqvarna, which is Scandinavian. Jonsered is, I forget. I think that's also a Scandinavian. I may be wrong on that one. Apologies if I am. And then McCulloch, which is an American brand. We are going to go with a Stihl. And we'll buy that now, while we have the be able to buy it. Because even if we can't afford to buy a log grab, or a stump grinder, or even lease those pieces of equipment, we will still be able to cut down trees, chop them up manually into small pieces, and then cart them down to the lumber mill in our Brantner trailer, and then tip those pieces into the cell box and make some money that way. So we can start clearing out that orchard area, ready to turn it into an orchard once we've finished seeding the last few fields. glad I remembered to actually make sure I had the chainsaw before I got less than $1,000 in the account, because that would have completely scuppered that, that plan there. It does mean we are going to be running into debt from now on. The cost of fertilising these fields, on top of the cost of just running our equipment and maintaining our equipment until we can sell product. It does mean that we are going to be operating a loss, and our loan payment is going to be quite substantial as well. That's going to be a couple of $1,000s a day at least. So I keep saying dollars. The currency, I haven't changed it back to euros because I've been spending so much time on a dollar currency farm. So I'll have to make sure I change that for next time out. Switch back to euros. And here we go. This is the final pass. So that's it then. That's the end of this episode. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I will catch you back with another episode of Deutz Fahrm very soon.